Well, hello, everybody. I'm delighted to be here. I see people from all over the world. I'm coming from Maryland in the United States. It's an honor to be of service. So it's often said that we in DA, and I took notes because I get nervous and then I forget myself because I do a brain freeze. So we're going to move through that by me looking at my notes. It's often said that we don't come to DA on a winning streak. And that was certainly true of me. I was not only panicked when I first came to DA, I was also confused because I had no idea how I had gotten myself into such financial difficulty. I knew I was a binge spender, but I didn't have a clue that the real issue was that I was a debtor. I didn't know that when trying to decide whether to buy something, I was asking myself the wrong question. I was asking whether I deserved it, not whether I could afford it. Who knew that that was the question you were supposed to be asking? I didn't know that I should spend less than I made. And I thought I was doing okay because I could sustain myself by my income and my credit cards. I didn't realize I was debting. It just was the way I was. On the other hand, when those credit cards came in, I would have a lot of shame around that credit card. And in response, I would severely restrict my spending, mostly for things that were healthy for me, like health and all those things. I would restrict them and pay more attention to my wants than my needs. For a time, things would calm down, and then my cycle of compulsive spending and shame would repeat. Even so, with those kind of agonizing behaviors, I delayed coming to a DA meeting. I couldn't admit that I didn't have the ability to solve my problem. So when I finally came to my first meeting, that action alone in a beginning way was me finally admitting that I was powerless. And I didn't know that, but that really was the beginning of me doing the first step. By the end of the first meeting, though, I was confused again. I was expecting a meeting focused on money strategies, and that wasn't discussed. So I was confused how this program was going to help me be relevant to my problems. But it was right after the meeting that I came to the believe. That was when a dear woman came up to me. She introduced me to herself. She introduced herself, and she told me when she first came to the DA, she had been $74,000 in debt, and that she had reduced that to $4,000. Even though now it's been 21 years since that first meeting, I still can get choked up and feel that wash of relief that came over me. Oh my gosh, this works. I'm in. I get obedient when I get scared. So when I left my first meeting, I had taken the beginning steps of admitting I was powerless and coming to believe that I could be restored to sanity. Right from the beginning of those early meetings, I wanted what others had. Hearing others sharing about their compulsiveness with honesty and truth, and obviously living their lives in a healthy manner, in serenity and peacefulness, I wanted that. And it motivated me to seriously work the program. It was their experience, strength, and hope that drew me back to the rooms each week. I really, I grew up in faith and I had a belief in God, but it was different because what DA has taught me was that personal relationship in terms of that. And so one of the things I had to get past was my willfulness, which is and has always been one of my core issues. And I used to think it was a good attribute. I can be goal-oriented, accomplish things, get things done. Yet my work in the program has shown me there might be some defects in that area, and that all my willfulness may be kind of as an anathema to the program. The intensity of my compulsion of doing mental gymnastics to justify and rationalize making an expense is part of my disease. It was the way I ran my life. So when my compulsive disease when I'm in my compulsive disease, I buy out of fear that I don't have enough. And at that moment, the most important thing to me is to buy whatever it is and to buy it now before it disappears. And that is what my disease looks like when it's full blown. I try to fill a hole that can never be filled because I'm trying to fill it with stuff. It was an intense circular way to live. But now, instead of living in compulsion, I've learned and accept a different way of life. And when I get that compulsive feeling, and I still get it, it's not as strong, and I can tell that my disease is becoming activated. It is the third step where change really began for me. I slowly came to understand, and what the third step has taught me is that through my willfulness, my determination, my isolated decision-making, I preclude my recovery.
2 minutes.
I'm sorry?
2 minutes, please.
Oh my gosh, okay. I preclude my recovery and my prosperity. I might be a little over 10 minutes. The third step isn't to make the decision to turn my will and my life over to God as I understand God. The third step is the decision to turn my will and my life over to the care of God. That's a whole different feeling for me. And as we stay in the program, the first 3 steps are I can't, he can, let him. The third step teaches me to get out of the way and lean on the we part of the program. So when the compulsive behavior kicks in, I think of the third step and am comforted and feel blessed that I am in the care of God. That understanding serves as a salve to my frenetic thought process, and in doing so allows me to reach out, to call someone, to pray, meditate, ask for others to be in my PRG, read literature, and put the decision aside and let the compulsive roaring lion sleep. In my first PR group, I was surprised when after the serenity air, shocked is probably more like it, I didn't know the question was coming. They started by asking me what my vision was. I was so focused on those numbers and what they were going to find out and yell at me for, but they didn't do any of that. They asked me what my vision was, and I thought, damn, I didn't know that was going to be on the test. But, we got through it. I asked them what theirs was. Maybe I would borrow theirs because the only one I had was to get out of debt. But what I found was in identifying and focusing on a vision, that also helps me reduce compulsions because I have something more important that I'm going towards. And having a vision was another way of allowing my higher power into my day-to-day life. Taking such action and developing these beliefs helps me to renew my commitment of making a conscious choice of a new way of living. I can't work this program by myself. At first, it was difficult, and sometimes still is, to bother, quote unquote, someone with a seemingly unimportant financial decision I wanted to make.
Time.
Okay, I'll just be about another minute. But this is a we program. So fast forward 21 years. I've now been retired 2 years, and absolutely through the grace of my higher power in this program, I'm financially secure. I can't even believe I say that. I live in abundance and prosperity, and not just financially, in all of my affairs. Our 12-step promise has proven true to me. We will recognize that a power greater than ourselves is the source of our abundance. We will ask for help and guidance and have faith that they will come. My journey is a journey of a miracle. However, it is not miraculous. In order to get the fruits of the program, I had to do my work. It is particularly challenging in the beginning because I had to change my perspective on how I made decisions regarding finances at the same time that I was just beginning to work the steps and learn the tools. What I found is that the higher power has more abundance in store for me than I could ever imagine. And that is so true. By stepping back, not controlling, not operating out of compulsion, not operating out of fear, turning my will and my life over to the care of God has allowed me to relax, trust in higher power, and in the we of the program. I no longer have to take the weight of everything. I've made a decision to turn my will and my life over to the care of God, and so I can let things unfold. I'll close with what we say at the end of the promises. All this and more is possible when we work this program with integrity and to the best of our ability, one day at a time. A life of prosperity and serenity will be ours. Thanks for letting me be of service.